Today, if we look at the problem of terrorism in the world, perhaps Islamist terror, statistically speaking, adds up to most of the crimes that are done across the world, especially in Afghanistan, Iraq, and you name the places. But the younger audience who are watching this video may not know. The Khalistanis were also involved in hijacking and a certain amount of other activities as well back in the 80s and the 90s, where it had become a serious threat, not just for India, but even countries like Canada for that matter. So I was hoping that you could revisit a few of these chapters and introduce how this happened and how it slowly declined.
See, I think one of the greatest things which the younger generation should understand is that post 9/11 that happened, terrorism became a buzzword. So whether you see the suppression of the Uyghurs in Xinjiang in China, they're called separatists. They basically separatists asking for their rights within the I would say the national bounds of the nation which they are part of. And they are then to be suppressed by the state. You then have a system of calling them terrorists. So I think in India also we should be very clear: separatist and terrorists. We never had separatists in India. In Punjab, especially in Punjab, they always wanted to remain. Even the Anandpur resolution looked at wanting to be part of the within the sovereignty of the Indian state. They didn't want to break away. That exploitation was done by Pakistan and the ISI. That's a different story. But as I said, the terrorists, there was no separatist movement really in Punjab. It was an assertion of right which got exploited by initially our own people, which was advantage taken across. And then this whole story of Khalistan movement started off. And it became an issue because funding came in, people were looking for importance, and they suddenly found that power came to them. Like we used to say earlier on, say before the Modi era, if I can say so. I mean, if you moved around in certain parts of India, if it was an India-Pakistan match, India haye was a common thing. Thank God that stopped now in most of these places there. What I'm saying is, so today, you had these people, rabble rousers, who got more attention from the center and the state than the guys who said pro nationalist slogans. So that's how I think a lot of them got a fillip as far as they are concerned. So we have to be understood that what is a separatist and what is a terrorist. So majority of the activities that were done by Punjab were terrorism acts and not acts of separatism, which they wanted to assert in a right. So that's why we say it was terrorism that really took roots, because got exploited from overt and covert sources from outside. As you said, yes, you're absolutely right. And they've done some heinous set of activities. I think the most important, which most of them might still know about, is the 23rd June 1985 Air India's, I would say, Kanishk hijacking, which was by a Babbar Khalsa International. It finally blew up in the air. We lost 329 lives. And I remember I was at that stage doing a course in England when this happened. And it was a tremendous blow internationally and nationally. But that was not the only one, but that was the main, I think, which I would say a very high profile activity that happened. We've had umpteen cases of hijacking. If you see 24th August 1984, 7 students of the AISSF with 74 people took over a domestic flight, which was traveling to within India to Lahore and Karachi and finally to Dubai. The later on, the hijackers were Dubai intervened, and there's a movie also on that kind of a thing which came out in I think it was the anti-hijacking. I think Akshay Kumar's movie which came out, which talked about it. I mean, though they had dramatized the whole thing, but intervention happened. The hijackers were whisked away, and the plane and the people were returned back to India. But the point is, those guys who hijacked got unpunished. So it actually, and before that, we had in 20th of August 82, we had 69 passengers. They hijacked again an Indian airline plane which landed in Amritsar because they were denied permission. This was finally, the hijacker was killed and the people were released. We had one on 4th of August in 1982, where Gurbakh Singh, a Sikh, hijacked the Delhi-Srinagar flight. The plane landed. He wanted to land the plane in Lahore, which was denied. And that's where I think we had some good relations between India and Pakistan, at least at the state level, at the central level, that they denied them landing right. So it landed up back again in Amritsar, and finally the hijackers surrendered. And then we had one in 1981, which is the first one where the 5, I would say, Dal Khalsa militants hijacked Indian Airlines flight 423. which was between Delhi Palam Airport from Amritsar. It was coming in, taken to Lahore. The plane had a total of 717 people. However, the guys went unpunished. There were no injuries, and people came back, and the plane came back subsequently. So there have been a number of instances where, to gain international recognition and to create pressure on this central government in India, these hijacking events were done. So these were all terrorist acts. There were no way acts which a separatist group would have asked for.
Please remember to subscribe to us and switch on the notifications for this channel. For our other social media links, more content, and to support our work, please visit citti.net. Dhanyavad. Namaskar.